It's said when you take a picture of someone, you capture the soul in the camera. It does also said that if you print it off, that picture contains the soul itself, and you can control them with it. I'm not sure where to start. Do you know about the primordial soup is? Veritable ocean elements, all floating around randomly, and throughout millions of years of time, eventually the set and the right of random circumstances come to pass. The elements were able to connect together from a world's first single organism. Now, this is very boiled down version of it, so I'm pretty sure you might get the gist of it. Fast forward to a few billion years to the early 1990s, when the internet use began to rapidly accelerate. Every home had a computer, and new connections between computers were opening on a by-the-second basis. Trillions of bytes of data began to transfer around the world at the speed of light. Music, text, sound, and most importantly, pictures. If now, when you have taken a picture of someone and captured their soul, what happens when that picture is converted into data and placed on the hard drive? Does the soul follow? 15 years, we believe so. We believe that when you take a picture of someone and you upload it to your computer, alongside the image data, blueprint on the person's soul itself is imprinted on the file itself. Look at your pictures folder. How many souls reside in that folder alone? Well, it's just the beginning though. These soul blueprints each retain pieces of a puzzle, parts of the soul itself as well. Recently, a group of hackers, who were referred to themselves as the Cardinals, took an interest in this theory and began the experiments. They found anomalies within the binary sequences of the images based on similar features, and of a person who had taken a picture of the binary DNA, if you will. Now these hackers had came across a possessive time of set of three extremely important data files, one .avi and one JPEG and the other one MP3, each of the possessing interests of unexplainable qualities. So the first, Cradle.avi, depicts of what appears to be a group of teenagers with a low-quality video camera exploring the basement of the house. The quality of the video is distorted and completely beyond any comprehensibility, and the video is of very low quality. For most of the video, the camera is passed around by the group who hand it back and forth, jerked around too much to make anything notice about. But at the end, the camera turns out an odd angle, and you can semi-clearly make out a young girl standing at the corner facing the wall. Her hair is long and black, and she's wearing some form of white dress. You only see her for a split second, but many people who have seen the video claim that there's just seems something wrong with her. A bit deformed, but not in a way anyone can explain. But a truly particular property of this video is what happens to the user's computer at the end of it. On the second last of the video, if not already the video, will force the screen itself. Along with this, you are left with a second one looping clip of the Windows wall. It loops 15 times, and then the girl is seen again, standing on the other side of the window, with her back to the viewer, slowly wavering back and forth. After a few moments, the video ends and the user's computer permanently shuts down. Inspection of how is down the entire registry becomes completely corrupt, requiring the user to do a total wipe all and reinstall. The second file is shown as needles.mp3. The sound file, when played, it's played for about 3 minutes. It is extremely distorted. One can occasionally make out of a form of a voice talking, but most of the sound is some sort of growling, rolling, crackled roar. Users who have listened to the file often experience some extreme nausea and loss of balance for a brief period of time. The final file is also shown as burningman.jpg. The file's name had nothing to do with what the actual picture depicts. Instead, it just displays as a haphazard mess of overlaid, meshed images of dolls and halfway. There also seems to be an image of a man standing with his head cast down in the background, but the image is too distorted to make out anything much like the other files. The image, when downloaded and opened to the user's desktop, will proceed to stay permanently open on whatever program it was opened through. Not only that, the program becomes disabled. Nothing else happens. The image just permanently sits there on your desktop, unclickable, unminimizable, and you're just left there with the free man's invisible gaze staring at you. From what the group of hackers were able to discern, this file seems to have recomplemented into the data, or something along the lines of CMDO. Now, yet this complex and indicates as a program, as it is and works on all OS platforms. No one will know who the original creator is. In fact, a few people have heard of it as the file of incopyable or unsendable. This, in fact, further adds to the mystery, as often receivers of this file will obtain random anonymous emails, posted on forums with a download link, posting the question, how was this poster able to upload it? If you see any of these files, refrain from downloading any of them. They all have varying detrimental effects on your computers, from practically taking out your whole registry, corrupting System 32, freezing your mouse, or crashing your computer. Now onwards, this group of hackers, the Cardinals, took everything analyzing these free files and comparing the odd behavior. They have been heard from each other of odd files, images, data, etc., but they were not able to get their hands on them, at least as far as I know. There are rumors that state that, in fact, they were able to locate and collect all the known files from the original Smile JPEG to Barbie JPEG, even smouse.avi. Not even the grifter was able to escape their grasp. Rumor states it, but the rumor also states that the grifter video even exists. But that's another story. Nonetheless, all of these files in hand, the group lined for the files up and began to meticulously work through the binary 1001 at a time. Check it for similar strains and a series of binary that matched. And once they did manage to successfully do so, and at least the legend states, the result was 7 individual execute files that did nothing. Simply gibberish pile of zeros and ones, and they endlessly puzzles over the flies, and each taking an excuse each. But they decided to name themselves afterwards: lust, gluttony, greed, envy, sloth, wrath, and pride. At least they were attempted to line up the files. Remarkably, something odd happened. The copies of the files were quite suddenly mashed together, the result of a single complete execute, already named barelybreathing.exe. And what kind of file is this? Well, not much else is known after this point. They were too smart just to execute it. They analyzed the file every possible way. Hex, binary, conversations, anything to figure out this odd file would do. But to no avail, even after forming it together, it was a much bigger jumble of ones and zeros, and made no more sense than a separate executes. They backed up the file on a flash drive and proceeded to run it, and it was the last command found on run on their destroyed computers a week later. Their corpses have been disconfigured beyond recognition. Description of the corpses stated that it almost seemed as if they'd been brutally slashed across their faces and arms. Every square inch of the skin that had bare had been mutilated, almost microwaved and then sliced away repeatedly by a micro-thin razor. The government attempted to rush up the event, but there was some media leakage, and it's because the Cardinals had been keeping a blog post amongst themselves, and after a few close friends, it's closed down and deleted now, so don't even go trying to find it. It quickly spread out as pure as of what they were attempting to accomplish, and if it was or was not related to their terrible deaths. And what is of the flash drive? A friend who knew of its existence later checked the home group and was unable to find it. According to the reports, the drive was found in the pocket of one of the group that had been taken to custody by the police and was simply vanished. The trail goes on furthermore. The file resurfaces every few weeks, and around the globe, governments attempt to cover it up, but some media leaks it out, of course. Look into the news for people mutilated in their own homes by a murder, their computers stolen, etc. If you ever get the cryptic email with the attachment labeled barelybreathing.exe, for Christ's sake, do not open it. Well, that was Binary DNA, a creepypasta. My final thoughts on this story? Well, to be completely honest, it's actually a pretty interesting story. Like, what I really do like about the story is that there is a lot of time and effort into this story. I think it's the obvious reason why I decided to read this story. But after I remember reading this creepypasta from, Creepypasta, Mr. Creepypasta, and a few others, I thought I would go ahead and give this a read. This one was actually a pretty interesting story, especially with the whole concept and everything about it. It honestly fits very well with this story, and honestly really has a lot of good things added into this story, like with the concept and that. However, though, it kind of lacks a lot of detail for what it is. I don't honestly know. Maybe I would like a little bit more of an kind of like more build up to the beef up of the story, but I honestly still find it to be pretty good. I mean, it's a little weaker, but more of an Amish vision of, version of Smile Dog or something. But I mean, this one was, maybe not the best, but it honestly does have a interesting concept, so to speak. I mean, I personally do think that this story, does have a lot of concept, but I think it wasn't really that great either. I mean, it's an average creepypasta. I mean, it's decent. It's not bad or anything, but I mean, it doesn't have to be scary or creepy to be good. I just take a look at the story, for example. There's a couple of flaws in the story, like, I don't know what it is, but, like, I mean, I honestly do, think that this story does have a really interesting, the concept of itself, it seemed, like, pretty interesting in that. But, I mean, parts of the story just didn't really make a lot of sense. I mean, there were a couple times that the story didn't really make a lot of sense, so it was kind of a little bit hard for me to process, about what's going on in this story. I mean, the fact that these hackers managed to, end up getting killed after viewing the files and that, it honestly was really messed up, yes, but I still found it to, have an interesting concept for a story. So I definitely gotta say, it's a pretty interesting, storyline. I mean, the grammar is really good, as well as the sentence structuring and all that, but the storyline, it kind of doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. So maybe that's kind of why I just say it's an average pasta. It's not the best pasta in the world, but it's definitely not terrible either. I mean, to be fair, I honestly didn't really think this one was bad, but it could use improvement, like maybe more build up with the story. But I'm starting to think that maybe, I'm not saying this is like a ripoff of Smile Dog or anything. I still found it to be, a good story and all, but it just doesn't really, I don't know, to be honest. It just doesn't really make a whole lot of sense if you understand where I'm coming from. Maybe that might be just me being nitpicking, but like I said, that's just what I think. So, I can't seem to find out who the author of the story is, so I am going to, leave this story as anonymous, by anonymous for now. To the author of the story, if you happen to come across this video or whatever, let me know who you are in the comments, and I'll be sure to give the author proper credit. If he or she or they, them comment on this video, I'll be sure to do that. So anyways, I'm going to sit here and just say that this is just, it's a pretty good story. I'm not going to lie. There were just some things that I feel that didn't exactly make sense, but it honestly, it's not terrible. Not the best story, but definitely not terrible. I also have to say, if I did miss anything, let me know in the comments below, just in case if you guys happen to, well, you might be able to read this story. If this story is on the regular Creepypasta Wiki, so if I missed something, feel free to let me know in the comments below, and I'll be sure to see it and go from there. But going forward with this whole concept, I mean, this story is honestly it does have a great concept for it all, but I honestly just didn't really think that, this story didn't really exactly made out a whole lot of sense, if that pretty much makes any logical sense. I mean, there were some parts of the story that just didn't. I mean, I was just confused, but other than that, it does have an interesting concept. So, yeah, I'm going to sit here and say this is just simply my own personal opinion. If you happen to disagree with me, that's perfectly fine too. We're all entitled to our own opinions in regards to these stories. I'm going to give this one a 7 out of 10. While I can say it's not the best story in the world, it's not bad. It's an average story, I mean. It's not terrible, but definitely not great either. So, I mean, it's an okay story. I mean, I did like it a lot, I believe, back a few years ago when I listened to it, but now I just kind of realized that there was couple things wrong with it, but, I mean, I point out some of the reasons, but it kind of almost sounds like smile.jpg or something. I can't honestly remember much, but maybe if anyone wants to recorrect me in the comments below, you guys can do that. But anyways, what did you guys think? Leave me your thoughts in the comments below. You can let me know what you guys think in this comments below. But yeah, I'm the Lion Queen. Thank you so much for watching today's episode. And if you're new to my channel, feel free to leave a like, comment, subscribe, ring the bell for notifications to when I upload. And as always, I'll be seeing you guys in the next video. Peace out. And like always, please roll the outro because I'm out.